Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever episode of Geeks. Is it me or am I very poorly lit at the moment? I did test all this earlier, but it all seems to have decided, you know what, nah, let's let it all get messed up for the first ever solo podcast I've ever done. This is my first ever solo podcast. I don't know why I decided to do the inaugural Geek Speak on my own. It seems like a silly idea now that I'm actually here doing it. But anyway, here I am. I am KD, for anyone who doesn't know, from Geeks on the Go. And while I have done podcasts before, many podcasts before, this is the first one through Geeks on the Go. It is my first one solo. Normally I've got a co-host or just someone in chatting with me. But I didn't want this podcast to be one that relied on having other people involved, because I want to be in a situation where I can get friends and people on to chat with, but I don't have to like force someone. I don't have to be in a situation where if on a Wednesday someone bails on me, I then can't do the podcast. It's a bit echoey. I don't know why it's echoey. I've only got one mic. It shouldn't be doing that. It wasn't doing that in the tests earlier. It's very strange. The red LED strip emphasizes the logo. It doesn't it? I love the fact that it's even coming through the pop guard that I've got here. The echo, is it bearable or is it making it very, very difficult to understand me? So I'm not entirely sure what I can do about it at this point, seeing as though the podcast has already started. Sorry, I'm just repositioning my fan here. You'll probably be hearing the fan as well, but it's not being turned off. No way, it's far too toasty in here. So yeah, how is everyone doing? Let me first of all, I'm going to talk you through what this is going to be, really, because I want this to be a regular thing. Maybe not weekly, but at least every 2 weeks or something like that. But basically, those of you that know me, you know that I've been streaming on Twitch for over a year now, and I think the main pull with my streams has been less about the games I play and the actual gameplay, and more about me chatting and trying to be entertaining whilst I'm doing that, which, you know, I got to make some money out of that drama degree that I got. So why not do it this way? So I figured, why not have a stream every now and then where I can just focus on chatting and I can chat about the stuff that I want to. You know, when I did Pokemania, I was very restricted to only talking Pokemon stuff. Oh, thank you very much for those bits there, Kitty. That was a lovely little donation. Yeah, so I was restricted to only talking Pokemon when I was with Pokemania. Nerdemic, we had certain rules about that as well. It had to be stuff that counted as geeky or nerdy. You know, I couldn't talk about politics. I couldn't talk about what was going on in my actual life. So again, that was quite restrictive, especially seeing as though the podcast we did for that, we had like the Nerdemic show, which essentially was a podcast kind of like this one, which had a very structured script to it, and that worked well for what we were doing with that, because we were doing that more as a kind of like nerdy news show than a podcast. But then Marcus and I used to do an actual podcast where we would literally just sit and my laptop would record us while we were having a few drinks and just chatting about some geeky stuff. Our script consisted of like 5 things, just in case the conversation dried up, but it never did. But we always kind of had to cover each other. So if one of us started going down a route that didn't fit with Nerdemic, the other one would have to get him back on track. For this podcast, this is literally going to be chatting about whatever I want, whatever you guys want me to talk about or want to talk about with me, and depending on which guests I get on, stuff will happen with that. You know, we've got someone who's going to come on and talk to us about D&D related stuff, which is going to be really good. I'm going to try and get someone on from ThamesCon to come and talk about what's going on with that and with the Dark Crystal convention that's coming up. I can't remember if I think it's early next year. But like the guests for that are looking incredible, and I want to support them as much as I can, because you know, they were our first sponsor. So even though it was only a year thing and we're not currently sponsored by them, you know, I still have a lot of love for ThamesCon and the people who run it. Cool font for the chat. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to go for like the old school sort of look for it. So I've got myself some new gear as well. Amazon Prime Day was very generous for me. So we've got a brand new webcam that's currently on the rats. It's the same as the one that I've got on me now. And I managed to get a fantastic deal on that, considering it's a very good camera for streaming with. I mean, I don't know how it's coming through for you guys, but on my end, the camera quality on me is fairly decent. It's pretty good. It means I can also use that one when I'm doing some crafting stuff as well, and hopefully actually get some decent camera quality when I'm doing like the Warhammer stuff. Also got myself an Echo Dot, which was super cheap as well, and means that once we've got our studio set up, I can set it all up as like a smart home thing. I can literally just walk into the studio and say, get the stream ready, and have everything start up. The audio is good, cool. Alexa, say hello.
Hi.
I mean, I said say hello, but hi is good enough. I don't know if you actually heard that. I'll move her a bit closer to the mic, just in case I have questions for her. We'll pump the volume up on her as well. Alexa, tell me a joke.
What's black and white and red all over? An embarrassed raccoon.
So, I don't think I'm going to be doing any try not to laugh challenges using her jokes. Yes, so, yeah, basically the plan for the show is I'll talk about some things that have happened in the week. I may do the odd review, you know, if I've been to see a film or something, or a new show on Netflix or something like that. A few things that are bothering me at the moment, because there's nothing an Englishman can do better than complain. And I may only be half English, but the Irish are pretty good at complaining as well, so I think I've got that covered. I'll talk about some games and that kind of thing, although I may shy away from talking about games too much, seeing as though all my other streams are basically that anyway. A few things that I'm looking forward to, all that kind of stuff. So it should be fun. It should be fun. My only hope is that I don't run out of things to talk about, because that would be difficult. That would be difficult for me doing a podcast. Normally with the streams I can fall back on just playing the game and talking about what I'm doing in the game, maybe throw in some funny voices for the characters, but now, no. I'm also falling into the trap that I often do, which is that I speak way too quickly and could end up turning a 3-hour podcast into a 20-minute one. So I've got to ease up on that a bit. But anyway, first thing we're going to be chatting about today is going to be the news section. So this is going to be how I'm going to start out. We're going to have an introduction like I did just now, saying hello to all you guys, and now we've got the news section. So we've got a few things I want to talk about in the news. Some good, some not so good. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is the new Face app. Some of you may have seen the news that's been going around for the last couple of days about this, but I thought this would be a good one to start off with as a warning for you guys. So, you may have seen a lot of people on social media at the moment posting pictures from this new app called Face app. And what Face app does is it takes a picture of you and then it ages you. I actually posted one the other day using a different app, so thankfully I'm not going to have to worry too much about this. But, so here's the warning: if you don't already have Face app, don't get it. If you do have it, uninstall it. Okay? The reason for this is because some people have been testing it out and have realized that in the terms and conditions, it actually gives the owners of the app access to all of your photos, your likeness, your name, to use for pretty much whatever they want. Okay? Now, this app is actually a Russian-owned one, and seeing as though the laws in Russia are very different, and obviously Russia, yeah, there's a lot of worry about this. Politicians in the US have been told not to get the app, and if they do, if they already have it, to get rid of it, because it may be creating backdoors for for people to get into your phone and to do naughty things with this. Now, just to be clear, all of this at the moment it's alleged stuff that I'm saying now, right? So it's been proven that the app can do some of this stuff, but not that they're actually doing it, okay? Or that they actually intend to. They have done a press release saying, oh no, we're not going to do any of that stuff, it's fine. Now, the big worries with this sort of thing is it's twofold really. The first one is the fact that so much technology at the moment is relying on facial recognition, which is the same technology this face app uses. That's why the pictures are so much better than the normal aging apps that you get, because they're using that same facial modeling stuff. Okay, it's not just let's stick some wrinkles here and here, it's actually mapping out your face and deciding where to add things. Now, if they have this technology, they can use this to unlock phones. There was that big thing a while ago about the CIA trying to get Apple to let them into a suspected terrorist's phone because they couldn't get through the encryption. You have this software, you can break that encryption. People's laptops, actual high security areas use facial recognition because in some cases it can actually be better than things like retinal scanners. The other thing as well is there's a big problem at the moment with what's called deepfakes. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what deepfakes is, that is where they've managed to use the same technology to put the faces of celebrities onto other people, and this has had a lot of ramifications. I'm not going to go into all of them, but there have been videos released online where famous people have been doing and saying things that they normally wouldn't say or do. But because of this this technology, it's almost seamless. An untrained eye would struggle to see with some of them, you know, especially if they're looking straight at the camera. So this face app linked in with deepfakes, you know, it could have some serious ramifications. Thankfully, you know, we're in a situation where, you know, if they wanted to have President Trump saying something stupid, they just have to wait for him to get on Twitter at 4 in the morning. So there's that. But yeah, basically, it may all get itself sorted or whatever, but for now, just avoid face app. As far as I know, it's that specific application. I don't know if it's running through any other ones at the moment, but I mean, just keep yourself safe, guys. That's the simplest thing. Anyway, so I'm just gonna go through the chat, 'cause while I was going through that bit of news, I just wanted to be able to focus on that. Don't worry about being late, guys. It's absolutely fine. Gonna Facebook me a photo. Ooh, may have to have a look at that in a second. Yeah, if you guys do want to send me anything that you'd like me to see while I'm doing the podcast, best way to do that is via our Discord, which Elle will link right now. I'm absolutely certain she's good like that. She's great like that, and in many ways. We do have a specific channel for the podcast, so if there's anything you want me to talk about, throw it in there, and I'm happy. I'll be checking it in the breaks and stuff like that, so I can go and, you know, decide, oh, maybe this is something I do want to talk about right now. And Kitty nearly got there. Elle was just a bit too quick off the mark. She heard Discord and she was already typing. That's the trick with her. Okay, so the next piece of news. This one's a bit more positive. It's a bit shorter as well. This is something that came as a surprise to me today, because I haven't been keeping up too much with it, but Pokemon Go has a new appraisal system. Why does that matter? Okay, so Pokemon Go, the appraisal system up until now has been kind of rubbish. It doesn't give you specific enough details about the Pokemon so that you can figure out which are the best ones. Now, as you guys know, I'm a big Pokemon fan, and I'm a big fan of Pokemon Go. I've been playing it since, well, actually, technically prior to release, because I was naughty and downloaded the American version because it came out before it came out in the UK. So, yeah, don't ban me for that. I just love the game. I had to get on it. But what has been getting people banned in the past has been third-party apps. Mostly GPS spoofs, but there have been cases in which people have been using appraisal apps and have been getting banned as a result. Niantic really doesn't like third-party apps, basically. And this new appraisal system essentially makes them redundant because it straight up shows you in a simple way how good the Pokemon is. I used it earlier today. I was catching a bunch of Meltan because I've got Let's Go Pikachu, and every few days you can catch like half an hour's worth of Meltan, and I was able to just appraise them nice and easily as it went. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of Pokemon Go, and especially if you're an iPhone user as well, because the appraisal apps on there are kind of rubbish. They require you to actually take a screenshot and leave Pokemon Go in order to do it, and it just takes a whole lot of time. On Android it's a bit different because you've got the overlay apps, which do make life a lot easier for that. But this one is just going to make it so much easier. It's going to make it easier for casual players as well. And I think Niantic's been really clever with that, because over the last couple of years, casual players have been steadily dying off in the game, and it's only the really hardcore players that have kept going, and they're trying to find ways to either get back casual players or keep them. And I think this is going to really help with that, because it puts you in a situation where if you don't have all these apps and you're not putting all the effort in that the really hardcore players are, then you can still keep up. You can still get really good Pokemon. The times I think it's going to be really useful are going to be like on community days, when you're catching like dozens and dozens of a particular type of Pokemon, and you, especially again for iPhone users, you don't want to have to keep leaving the app to check which Pokemon are good, because that's boring as hell. It's boring as hell. Anyway, next piece of news. This is a great piece of news. I'm so happy about this. So Taika Waititi has signed on to direct Thor 4, which is going to be a really difficult title for a lot of people in the UK to say. Thor 4. Yeah, okay. Try saying that 10 times fast. Not going to do it. Don't make me. Yeah, so Taika Waititi, for anyone who doesn't know, he's a director, writer and actor from New Zealand, who up until Thor was probably best known for What We Do in the Shadows, which was a kind of mockumentary about vampires living in New Zealand. If you haven't seen it, definitely do. It's also starring Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords, and there is a TV series of it out at the moment with Matt Berry, who is one of my favourite comedians, just like TV comedians just ever. He's fantastic. Swatson, hey, how you doing? I'll do it for the bits. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna try it. Okay. Thor 4, 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 Thor 4. Fantastic, did it. That's actually quite an achievement for me. When I was a kid I couldn't pronounce TH words. Irish accent, I would have been like Tor 4, Tor 4, Tor 4. Yeah, weird. We're doing well, Swatson. How are you doing, buddy? Yeah, so Taika Waititi, he was the director of Thor Ragnarok, and in all honesty, he just did a fantastic job. For me, like the best, thank you for those bits. I'd say Phase 1 of the three main Avengers. Phase 1, Iron Man was the best film. Phase 2, Winter Soldier. I know a lot of people really loved Civil War. Was Civil War Phase 3? Yeah, Civil War was Phase 3, wasn't it? But anyway, Winter Soldier was the best Captain America movie, hands down. And then Thor Ragnarok just was incredible. I loved it. I preferred it to Civil War. I preferred it to Age of Ultron. I'd even say I preferred it to Guardians Volume 2. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy films. The first one, anyone who knows me will tell you, I have watched the first Guardians of the Galaxy film so many times, more than any other MCU film. So Taika Waititi coming back on, that is going to be great. The issue I am seeing with it, and we'll get into this in a bit, but some people are speculating that Thor 4 is going to be coming out before Guardians 3, which, if that is the case, I'm not entirely sure how they're going to be doing it, because obviously, and we are going into spoiler territory here, but you know, Endgame came out months ago, get with it. Thor does end up with the Guardians, so I'm not entirely sure how they're going to be doing it. I also really hope they're going to be calling it as Guardians of the Galaxy, because why the hell not? But I think as long as Waititi doesn't go down James Gunn route, because Guardians 2 got a little bit too big for its boots. Taika Waititi came into one of the top franchises when it wasn't doing too well and made it into a fantastic film. And in doing so, turned it into a great trilogy as well. Can he make it into an even better quadrilogy? That's what I'm saying. I like his chances. I think his work is great. I think what he did with the cast is fantastic as well. But also, how is this going to wrap around the Loki TV series that they're working on at the moment? Because we still don't know much about that. There are some people who are saying that it is going to be a prequel, basically going through the ages with Loki. Now, while that would be fantastic, I always kind of hate prequels, especially when I know the fate of the character involved. You know, I couldn't even enjoy Titanic because I knew the ship was gonna sink. Spoilers, sorry, but yeah. All right, catch you in a bit, kitty. Yeah. So I wondered actually if perhaps the Loki that we see escaping from the alternate reality in Endgame could actually be the Loki that we're going to be following in this new one, because that's going to be a completely different timeline. We also don't know if during Endgame, because we were dealing with multiverse, if they were taking stones from separate realities or just separate periods in time from the same reality. Now, multiverse theory does state that time doesn't actually exist. Now, the only way to travel through time is to go to different points in the multiverse that are at different time periods to where we are, which would imply that they all had to be in different universes, because it wouldn't have been possible for them to all have been in the same universe. So if they don't subscribe to that, perhaps this is a universe in which the Thanos from that one is the one that then came to our universe, or not our universe, but the MCU main universe, and got his ass whooped. So there may not be a Thanos in that one. It could have a completely different future, or it could just be totally screwed. Especially as we see Loki go off with. Did he go off with the Tesseract? I can't remember. I need to see that film again. I think it's Grace Wing thinks it's the AU Loki who escapes with the cube. Yes. Yeah, it does take away the character development that he gets on from that, but not necessarily. Okay, we could still get decent character development from him. Loki in the comics has gone through so many different transformations. You know, he's even been a good guy at one point. He's even not been a he on a number of occasions as well. Same with the original mythology. I mean, one of my favorite Norse myth stories is where he transforms himself into a horse to distract another horse and ends up coming back pregnant. Yeah. Yeah, so we don't really know anything else about Thor 4 at the moment. There is supposedly going to be announcements about Phase 4 coming up soon, with Feige himself, you know, saying what's going to be going on. So yes, Sleepnir, very good. Of course you would know horses. Of course. Sound levels are odd on this machine, by the way. Background music is at the same level as my mic. Okay, that's fine. I can turn that down. Elle didn't say anything, but is it still audible there? Let me play around with it here, actually. Is it still audible? I'm not getting the bars for it. I don't know. I'll sort it in a second. No music now, barely. Okay. How's that? Is that a bit better? Can you hear that at least? I can play around with it in a minute. You're interrupting my news. Okay, so it's better. Music now, very quiet, but it's under my mic and easy to understand me. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for letting me know. It's a good thing I've got a producer somewhere. It's really annoying that I can't hear the sound back while I'm streaming. I'm sure there is probably a way to set that up. I may have to do that at some point, because audio while doing these streams is such a pain in the but oh, you didn't mind. Okay, fair enough. So the final piece of news that I'm going to be talking about today, the Prime subs not pop up anymore. They do. It was just a little bit delayed. Thank you very much, Watson, for that subscription. I really appreciate it. That is a point, actually, you've raised there, which is fantastic. If you do have Amazon Prime, you can link it to your Twitch account, and you can subscribe to my channel or to anyone else's once a month. You have to renew it every month, which can be a bit of a pain, but it's absolutely free for you guys, and it sends about $5 my way, so that's good. And also, you know, Amazon's got some great deals on sometime. I don't know if you guys managed to get any deals during Amazon Prime Day, but I got some fantastic stuff. I got a new keyboard and mouse, which I was in desperate need of. Although I have realized I'm gonna have to reset the keyboard settings on my PC, because one of the main things that was bothering me was with my Mac setup. The at key and the speech marks key were switched around, and it's the same on this new keyboard. Bugger. Anyway, I don't want to actually switch the keys around because I'll probably break it, so I'll have to see if I can do that on my PC. But yeah, I got the Echo Dot. Alexa, say hi.
Hi.
There we go. And we've got the new webcam, which you can see I'm using for the rack cam at the moment. I need to figure out how to get rid of the lines. It's really annoying. I don't know if you can see, but the wavy lines sometimes. It's probably because it's under LED lights or something ridiculous like that. Okay, so the final piece of news. This one, this is something that I feel as though, I think when I wrote this down, I thought I'll spend about 30 seconds talking about this, but I can already feel the hatred bubbling up inside me, and this could end up turning into a 10-minute rant. The rats are there, they're in their hammock, calm down. That's not what I was going to talk about. For anyone who's not watching or listening to this live, it's going to be really weird, especially for anyone who's listening to this, because I am going to be uploading this as a regular podcast. That's why I've got the chat on the screen there, because I'm going to be throwing it up on YouTube as well. So anyone who's watching is going to be making sense of every little going off the tracks that I do, but anyone just listening to this, there is a chat going on. So yeah. Oh, you can't see the lines. Oh, they come up sometimes. Maybe it's only certain colours. There, see the pink. It makes the wavy lines. It does. I swear it does. Yes. Anyway, so the final piece of news: the Dark Phoenix rebrand. I found out about this today, and it was kind of hilarious. So, Dark Phoenix is the latest train wreck from the Fox X-Men series. It is only the second X-Men film that I have not gone to see in the cinema. And that is because X-Men First Class came out when I was living in Russia, and I couldn't find a cinema that would play it in English. So this one, for me, I didn't go and see it because I don't really like Sophie Turner as an actress. I don't know her as a person. She might be lovely. And putting her in the lead of an X-Men film, I thought was kind of pants. Also, I strongly believe they should have quit with Logan. They really should have quit with Logan. It was so good. It was so good. Why wouldn't you just let it end there? But anyway, the Dark Phoenix rebrand. So the Dark Phoenix is the worst film in terms of box office of the entire X-Men series. It has so far made about half of what the now second worst film was, which was The Wolverine. That was the third in the standalone Wolverine films, and probably my least favourite of the entire series. And I can go into the reasons for that for days. The film has actually made less worldwide than The Wolverine did in the US alone. So, understand, this film has done really, really badly. Now, there are several reasons for this. People are getting tired of it. There have been a lot of letdowns. The First Class series started off incredibly strong, and then, much like the original X-Men series, and then they just milked it too much, and it started getting a bit pants. It started crossing over far too much with the regular X-Men continuity. We had the stuff like how Days of Future Past was set around the same time or slightly before Logan, and yet not Logan, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and you had Patrick Stewart in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but then James McAvoy in Days of Future Past. So a lot of the timeline stuff was really messed up. You had certain characters, like we've had two different versions of Emma Frost now. One of them, again, the first one was in First Class, who was a grown woman. The second one being a teenager in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is set 20 years later. So there were a lot of problems there. They also had to reshoot a whole load of it because of another film being far too similar. Now I heard varying rumors about this. I heard that it was actually a Marvel film that it was too similar to, so I wonder why they couldn't have communicated there. Then I also heard that it was actually Civil War, that it was too much like the ending to Civil War. That film came out like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, how are you accidentally ripping off a Marvel film that came out years ago? I'm certain it would have been #1 at the box office, so it's not like you missed it. Because God knows, the writers at Fox definitely don't know shit about Marvel. I told you, rant. First swear word of the podcast, but there's going to be more. This is not designed to be a family-friendly podcast, I assure you. So, with all that, what did Fox decide is the problem with it? The name. The name Dark Phoenix is the problem. So Dark Phoenix is the first film in the entire X-Men franchise dating back to 2001 that does not feature the word X-Men in the title. Okay? Even things like X2 has X-Men Mutants United or something as a subtitle kind of thing. Now I'm not including the standalones here. Obviously films like Logan and the Wolverine, they don't have that in. Deadpool being more of a spin-off doesn't have it, but I'm talking about actual X-Men films, of which this is. The closest it has is the X in Phoenix, has a circle around it, much like the X-Men logo. So they are planning to call it something like X-Men Dark Phoenix when it's released on DVD, and hope that that increases the sales, because people will be like, hey look, it's an X-Men film. This is a film about the X-Men. Honestly, is there anyone out there who doesn't know that Dark Phoenix is an X-Men thing? You know, and when you look at like the posters for it and stuff like that, like, how many people just go to the cinema and make a decision about what they're going to watch just by the title alone? I mean, me, I'll watch all the trailers. With some exceptions. Endgame I kind of had to stop because I was worried I was going into spoiler territory. But, you know, posters, stuff like that, does it not give it away? Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the news there, guys? So we've got the Face app, the Pokemon Go appraisal, Taika Waititi doing Thor 4, and the Dark Phoenix rebrand. I'm curious to know what you guys think about all of this. For me, it's been more of a rant than I expected. I thought the news section would last about 10 minutes. We're like, it's half an hour since I started it. This is going to be easier than I thought. Nutritional rum. Yeah, 40 minutes in. Great. We're doing well. We're doing well. I'm enjoying myself. Are you guys enjoying yourselves? Alexa, are you enjoying yourself?
I don't know that one.
I do always end up with tough women to please, don't I, Al? Yeah. Okay. What I wanted to talk about next is, I said that I was going to do some kind of review stuff every now and then. So I've got a couple here for you. I want to talk about, I know they've been out for a while, but I just want to talk about them. We're going to talk about Spider-Man Far From Home, and also Season 3 of Stranger Things. So I figured something that you go out to see, something you stay in to see. Oh, that was me asking Alexa if she was having a good time. She didn't know. She didn't know. And I'm gonna try to keep these as spoiler free as possible. Okay. So starting off with Spider-Man: Far From Home. Now, this film for me, this was a testament to how little free time I've had over the last while, because it had been in cinemas for almost 2 weeks by the time I actually got to go and see it. It might have actually been more than 2 weeks. Now, you guys know me. If an MCU film comes out, I'm there opening night. You know, midnight release. Even if it's not from one of the comic franchises I'm a big fan of. And Spider-Man has, for most of my life, been my favorite comic. Okay, I love the comics. I can't go on about them enough. I know it's one of the obvious cliche characters to go for, but there's a reason he's so popular. Okay, there's a reason why cliches are cliches. So I am not ashamed to say that Spider-Man is my favorite comic. Spider-Man: Far From Home. First of all, was it good? Yes. Yes. It was fantastic. It really was. I can't think of a moment in it that I didn't enjoy. Okay? The thing with this that Marvel hasn't really had much experience in, surprisingly for a superhero franchise, is the secret identity element. Okay, think about it. Iron Man comes out as Iron Man at the end of the first film. Captain America, everyone knows who Captain America is. Thor, he's a god. He doesn't have to hide his identity. Bruce Banner is on every most wanted list. Doctor Strange doesn't even have a pseudonym for his name. He is Doctor Strange. That is his actual name. Black Panther, he is the king of a country that all know he is the Black Panther. What other ones am I missing? Guardians of the Galaxy. None of them keep their identity secret. Some of them have code names, like Star-Lord, for example, but that's just the name his mum gave him as a nickname, and he decided to keep it. The only one that really comes close is Ant-Man, because obviously, especially in Ant-Man and the Wasp, he's trying to keep the fact that he is still Ant-Man a secret. Black Widow, she's a spy. She doesn't even wear a mask or anything. No one knows who she is. She's got shield protecting her and stuff. With Spider-Man, in the comics, such a huge part of it has always been juggling his day-to-day life with being a superhero. Again, with these other ones, you know, Iron Man gives the company to Pepper so he can focus on being Iron Man. Steve Rogers as Captain America, that's his job. He's Captain America. Thor, obvious. But with Spider-Man, what we see is a teenager who has been given this huge responsibility and tries to be the best hero that he can be, but also just wants to be a normal kid and doesn't want people to know who he is, because if his identity is revealed, then people close to him will get hurt. And this film does it fantastically. Like, it literally has those moments where he's having to come up with terrible excuses so that he can slip out just in time to get into his Spider-Man get-up and go and save people. But this takes it to the next level, because the whole point of this is that he's on a European field trip with his school. And so, of course, if he is in Italy and gets into Spider-Man spandex, people are going to be like, hey, why is Spider-Man here? Who else is here that also lives in the same place Spider-Man normally does? So the stakes and the ways in which he has to work to keep his identity secret are so much higher. And that was always one of the things that, both in the comics, was frustrating, because you just wanted him to get on with being Spider-Man, but he wants to live his normal life. But it also made it brilliant, and it made him such a compelling character, because he didn't want to be a superhero. He was doing it because he was a good person, because he knew that if he didn't, people would get hurt. And it's like he says, it's like in Civil War when they're trying to find another way of saying with great power comes great responsibility. He says, if bad things happen and you have the power to stop them, and they happen anyway, it's your fault. And that's so well done within this film. Now the action sequences are really decent in it. The moments with Mysterio, like, I really like what they've done with Mysterio. It's not going to be exactly what you expect, but it's also not going to be what you expected, expecting not to get what you expected. I cannot elaborate more on that without spoilers, but Mysterio was always a really fun character because he creates these illusions and stuff like that, and they did it really well in the film, so that's definitely worth doing. Clandox, hey, welcome to the podcast, the first podcast that we're doing. Currently discussing Spider-Man Far From Home and trying to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. So one thing I will say about this as well, the ensemble cast is fantastic. Okay, Jake Gyllenhaal plays a really charismatic character, kind of set up throughout the film to be a replacement for Peter of Tony Stark, and he does a really fantastic job of that. It doesn't feel like they're shoehorning him in, which is really good. The whole ensemble cast are really on point with it. Like, there are no characters in it that really irritate me or anything like that, and I easily get irritated by ensemble characters, especially when they're kind of, you know, taking screen time away from the characters that I want to be seeing. Josh, hey, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the podcast. So I would say definitely go and see it. If you're a Marvel fan, go and see it. I would actually say that I preferred this to Homecoming, which is a big thing because Homecoming was a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it. Definitely stay for the after credit scenes. The first one in particular was like, I wish I could do a spoiler review of it, because I could talk about this after credit scene for longer than I can talk about the actual film. I'm not even kidding. So much happened in a 30-second clip that I could talk to you guys about it for a minimum of half an hour. Easily. But yeah, definitely go to it. There's a post-credit scene and then there's a final after-credit scene, so it is definitely worth staying until the very end of the credits. So yeah, definitely get on that. Have any of you guys seen it? Again, like with the new stuff, I really want to hear what you guys have to say about it as well. I am following in the chat even if I'm not reading out everything you're saying. Apparently we have a whole bunch of Joshes coming in. Thank you very much for the host there, Liz Mitz. I do appreciate that, and you would have got yourself some extra points there. But yeah, if you are a fan of the MCU, this is definitely a film you should go and see. I would say it's the stronger of the two Spider-Man films. And I would say I need to see it again, really. I hate making judgments like this before I've seen a film at least twice, but in terms of all the Spider-Man films, I would potentially put it as my favourite. I certainly think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man, and before all you nostalgic critics go crazy, yes, Tobey Maguire was good and everything, but he was not the Spider-Man I grew up with in the comics and the cartoon series. I think Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker. I think Andrew Garfield was the better Spider-Man, but I think Tom Holland is the perfect combination of the two of them, because they are two separate characters, Spider-Man and Peter Parker. That's something you gotta get clear. You can actually hear the rats drinking from there. That's crazy. That's crazy. Have I got their camera mic on or something? That could explain why. No, I don't. That is just a really loud, drinky, sippy thing. I don't know, I need a drinky sippy. I'm talking too much. Tobey Maguire did really good Peter Parker impersonation. Ah, yes. I really like what you're saying there. So Clandox is saying that Tobey Maguire did a really good Peter Parker impersonation. Tom Holland feels like an actual Peter Parker. That's a really good way of looking at it. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm an actor when I'm not doing this sort of stuff. And it's funny that you say that, because whenever I see a bad performance, especially seeing as though I specialise in doing Shakespeare, which of course, you know, any play I do of Shakespeare's has been done at least 100 times over the last 400 years, there is a difference between just doing an impersonation of an actor or actors that you have seen play a role, which I do see far too often in my career, unfortunately, and doing your own interpretation of it. You know, this is very much Tom Holland playing Peter Parker. I think if someone else took over, or there was yet another reboot, because let's face it, there probably will be, they would have the potential to be just as good or even better by doing their own interpretation. But I like what you said about Tobey Maguire doing an impersonation of Peter Parker, because that is kind of what it was. So yeah, although it seems as though the chat is now more interested in the rats sipping their water. That's fine. I knew that if I put them there, they were going to upstage me. But here it is. It's happened. It's done. It's happened. The rats have upstaged me. Maybe I should just stream them for 3 hours. Would you guys prefer that? I could have a night off. Yeah, just stream the rats for 3 hours. The other Spider-Man. Do you mean Andrew Garfield? So okay, here's the reason why Andrew Garfield was a better Spider-Man. In the Amazing Spider-Man series, in which Andrew Garfield was in, they really explored the idea of Peter Parker being able to be someone else behind the comfort of the mask. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of you that can appreciate that. Those of you that are gamers, those of you that use the internet regularly, through the anonymity that you get of things like Twitch and Reddit and 4chan and stuff like that. I'm not talking Facebook and Instagram, that sort of thing. It gives you a confidence that you don't have when you are not anonymous. And so Spider-Man, always in the comics, when it was Peter, he was still, you know, this kid who had to deal with bullies and stuff like that. Funnily enough, he was much nerdier much later on. In the original comics, he wasn't that much of a nerd, actually. He was intelligent, but he wasn't especially nerdy. And when he puts that mask on, it's like that anonymity that you get. So he became much more confident, and that's why you will see Spider-Man wisecracking with murderous villains, whereas Peter Parker isn't able to do the same thing with a high school bully. And that's something they explored really well with The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, they did kind of make Peter Parker a bit more of a... they went a bit more for geek chic. You know, they gave him all the cool elements of being a geek that were established, you know, because of TV series like Sherlock and stuff like that, that made being geeky sexy, which they essentially did. So they kind of ruined Peter, but they got Spider-Man right, which I think was great. Blue mascara or black mascara from Kitty? That's a bit of a difference, but yeah, anyway. I say blue. Go blue, yeah. Waiting for your 5-star appearance in a Spider-Man film. I kind of, I love the fact that they're going for more of the slightly more obscure villains with this. They haven't felt tempted to go for, you know, your Green Goblins, your Doc Ocks, your Venoms, that sort of thing. Like, Vulture was almost a joke, to the point where he got, like, seriously revamped into the comics, to the point where he was actually a cannibal, just to make him edgy. Shocker has always been a joke. He has always been a joke, but they kind of made him cool in Homecoming. And now with this one, they've taken some characters that were never really taken seriously in the comics. And I'm talking like protagonists and antagonists here. And they've fleshed out the characters so brilliantly. Like Marissa Tomei's Aunt May. is fantastic. It's nothing like she is in the comics, nothing at all. But it's fantastic, and especially in this one because it's less of a side role in this one, which is great. Staring at your email, hoping someone replies about a bike you want. Oh, why do you want a bike? You've got horses. Just ride your horses everywhere, man. You're fantastic. 5-star only appeared in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon until she joined the X-Men in 2013 for a year or so. Was it really until 2013 that she wasn't introduced into the comics? That's crazy. That is crazy. Oh, you can't go on air roads on a horse. That does make sense. That does make a lot of sense. Anyway, the next one I wanted to do a review of was Stranger Things Series 3. Now, Stranger Things Series 3, I wasn't as excited about this as a lot of people were. I felt Season 2 didn't live up to the hype that Season 1 had caused, which is, it's such a common thing. You know, Season 1 was such a fantastic show. It was really interesting as well because the guy who directed it actually had wanted to direct the new It, but got turned down for it. So, you know, did Stranger Things, which has so many similarities to it. I'm about halfway through the audiobook of the unabridged Stephen King's It, and boy, like wow. But there are a lot of similarities with it. Now, Season 3 came along, I started watching it just for fun, and like I imagine many other people, I binge watched it in just a few days. Like, it was great. It really was. The relationships between all the characters have developed somewhat. I felt that seeing some of the kid characters having grown up a lot more was really, really weird. I don't know why. Like, I keep picturing them in my head as, like, you know, pre-teens, but now they're well into their teen years and stuff, which was kind of weird. Dad Magic, hello to you. Fantastic name. Love a bit of Dad Magic. What was interesting with this one as well was they'd split up a lot of the groups for the majority of it. It was set over a very short period of time, just a few days, if that. But most of the characters were actually split apart. Even the kids group, you know, it gets split apart, and they all kind of go on their own adventures, trying to solve certain mysteries that they've become aware of. And of course, in that classic TV show style, it turns out all of these mysteries, they're linked together in some way, and so they all come together, and you know, they do stranger things, which is great. The cast in this show, they're so fantastic. Like, they really are. Even some of the weaker members of the cast are still delivering like expert performances, which for a cast that is mostly made up of children, I can tell you as someone who teaches acting and has done for the last 10 years, that is no small feat. Glandox, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the Geek Clique. Are we still calling it that? I can't remember. I don't like the term following. I still haven't changed it on there, but I do need to change it. Yes, welcome to the community. By the way, guys, if you haven't followed, please do so. Also, come and check out our Discord and all our other social medias and stuff like that. We're a friendly bunch. We love a chat. And you can make suggestions for what you want to see in the podcast. So, anyway, back to Stranger Things. Without going into spoiler territory, there's not a huge amount more that I can say about it. But I'm really at the point where I'm quite tempted to re-watch Season 1, because I'm not sure if I prefer this one to Season 1. So I kind of need to go back and re-watch it so I can decide, but it really is good. It's really worth it. If you lost interest after Season 2, give it another chance. If you enjoyed Season 1, you will definitely enjoy Season 3. It is much tighter. I think there are less episodes in this one as well. so there's a lot less filler going on, which for one of these seasons that you kind of know you're going to binge watch over a weekend, it's great to kind of cut out that filler and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's great. Stranger Things, Spider-Man Far From Home, do them all over a weekend. Have yourself a lazy weekend. It's fantastic. Also, I would like to point out, I'm not sponsored by these guys in any way, but this is more for you guys, those of you living in the UK or any other countries that they happen to be in. If you go to View Cinemas, they've certain View Cinemas, they're now doing $4.99 tickets, like any film, any time. I think it's only in selected cinemas, so check it out. But I mean, a few months ago I was paying like more than £10 a ticket to go and see a film. Now I can go see one for a £5, which is great. It means I'm going to be able to do a lot more reviews and stuff like that now. So yeah, go check that out. As I say, I'm not sponsored by them in any way. This is really just me giving you a piece of advice. If you want to go to the cinema, why spend a tenner when you can spend half that? I mean, it makes sense, and they're not bad cinemas either. Alright, I'm going to take a very, very quick break to go and go to the bathroom and check the Discord, see if there's anything anyone else wants us to talk about. AMC and Marcus also have $5 Tuesdays. Well, Marcus is a bit of a hoe, so I can imagine him charging $5 on a Tuesday. So is it mostly geeky film and TV show reviews, talk about, or any other geek subject you like? Absolutely anything. That's, as I explained at the very beginning of the podcast, this really is just kind of an outlet for me to talk about absolutely anything. It doesn't even necessarily have to be something that you would consider geeky. If there's something that you would like to hear my opinion on, pop it in the Discord. If I don't know anything about it, I will go into it. The National Dex opinion. Okay, I'm adding that to the script now because I can definitely voice my opinion on that. That is going up on here. Right, I'm going to take a quick little break. I'm going to go through the Discord, see if there's anything in there that you guys want me to chat about that I can go into now, because I am racing through this script. Jeez. Yeah, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, so go grab yourselves a drink, go to the bathroom, that kind of thing. I'll be like 2 minutes at the most. Catch you in a sec. Hey everyone, I'm back. I told you it was only going to be a little break. I might have a proper one at some point, but I kind of want to keep the breaks down a bit, keep the flow going and that sort of thing. Clandox, no, I'm afraid you are not Katie. I shouldn't clap next to the mic, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for that. I'm just excited, I'm having fun. This is good, I've been wanting to get a podcast going for a while. I am Katie. Yes, Geeks on the Go. Geeks on the Go is, it's a community that I'm trying to set up. The original idea behind it was that it was originally going to be a vlogging channel. The idea is that we were going to be geeky on the go, and then I got into streaming, and streaming kind of took over. But we originally started off as a YouTube channel, and that is something that I'm planning to talk about in just a bit, actually, because now we're going on to the section of me ranting about stuff that I'm not overly pleased with, which I've temporarily titled "What Grinds My Gears," based on the Family Guy episode. So I need to find a better title for that, something that's not just ripping off another show. So yes, Lucid, first of all, I'm doing well today. This is the first podcast. I was a little bit nervous about it, but it seems to be going all right. I do just need to do one quick little edit here because the chat shouldn't be disappearing after a time frame, which it appears to be doing. I thought I'd set it so that it wouldn't do that. I may have to do this in the next break, though, because yeah, they shouldn't be disappearing. That's weird. But they have. I guess it's because the page refreshed. Oh well, you guys are going to have to be more chatty then, so that we can fill up this box. This box here with your lovely chat. Can you tell I'm a little bit hyper? I am very hyper today. So, the first thing, Dad Magic mentioned the National Dex. The National Dex situation, for anyone who doesn't know, towards the end of the year, November 15th, I think, is the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield. This is a big deal for me. This is literally the reason why I got myself a Switch, because I did not want to miss a main series Pokemon game, because I love Pokemon so much, and you know, with one of my jobs now being gaming, I was like, I can't really not play a game that is, you know, my favorite franchise. So anyway, yes, they revealed recently that the National Dex, which is the name used to describe the overall Pokedex. So to be clear, most of you will be familiar with the Gen 1 Pokedex, which is the first 151 Pokemon from Bulbasaur all the way to Mew. Now, this is specifically the Gen 1, the Kanto Pokedex. You've then got the Gen 2 Johto Pokedex, and so on and so forth. But one of the things they did through most of the games was, in Gen 2, for example, you could either catch or transfer over all of your Kanto Pokemon, or with your Gen 1 Pokemon, so that you had Gen 1 and Gen 2, and that was known as the National Pokedex. So most of the games, you do have the ability to get every single Pokemon, either through transfer, trade, or in-game, like captures. But that hasn't always been the case. Sun and Moon, for example, you could have every Pokemon in the game, but some of them wouldn't register to your Pokedex. So that was a weird thing. Like, you know, I had Pokemon in my team that weren't actually in my Pokedex, which was super weird. What they're saying with Sword and Shield is that there are some Pokemon that you just straight up won't be able to transfer, and it looks like there's only going to be about 350 Pokemon that you can have on the game, including the ones that they have created for the new game. So this means a lot, and I mean a lot of Pokemon are going to be missed out. That is less than half of the current Pokemon, not even taking into account however many they're going to add for Sword and Shield itself. Now, chances are any Pokemon considered overused are going to be in there. So those of you that are fans of, you know, your your Gen 1s, your starters, your dragon types, all those kind of ones, they're probably still going to be in there. What it's likely going to do is it's going to cut out some of either the more obscure ones, the ones that were kind of added because they needed to fill a Pokedex for a generation but don't have any competitive value, or there are going to be people left quite upset. The thing is with this is, how are they deciding on this? Because there are some Pokemon that normally are completely, or thought to be completely useless, but can be incredible. Its name has escaped me now. It's really bothering me. It's the electric squirrel one. Oh god, what's his name? I know it. Anyway, as a normal Pokemon, not terribly brilliant or anything, but a few years back, a player actually managed to use it to win the World Championships. Emolga, that's it, yes. Or is it Petrus? No, it was Emolga. It was the flying squirrel one, yes. Yes. Someone used an Emolga in their main team to win the World Championships. So, and like, the people commentating on it, they had no idea what was going on. This blew people away. No one had a counter strategy for it because it was not a competitively viable Pokemon up until that point. So they really need to be careful with what they're picking here. Careful, L. I'm fairly certain Ripley is spelled with 2 P's. All right, don't get one of our rats' names wrong. The rats' names, by the way, everyone. Ripley is the black and white one, and Ash is the black one. Although they're just kind of multicolored at the moment because of the flashy lights in front of them. They're like back there behind this Charmander at the moment, for anyone who was wondering. But they are gorgeous little boys. So yeah, I'm glad in some ways. Like, there are certain Pokemon, like, I mean, Klefki. Can we just get rid of Klefki? Can we retcon Klefki? Like, just please? There are some Pokemon where I feel as though they did just create them in order to fill out the Pokedex. And I think that is shameful. But I think turning their back on it now, it's too little too late. Because there's going to be a point a year from now where I'm just like, come on guys, why don't we have Klefki yet? Now, they're saying that it's so that they can create a better game, because the less they put into programming Pokemon, the more they can put into programming the actual game itself. Ditch all Pokemon that resemble inanimate objects. That is a good point. I'm wondering though if there is a Pokemon out there that resembles an inanimate object that isn't stupid. Nothing is immediately coming to mind. I could tell you guys about Pokemon that I think are absolutely useless, or which Pokemon I think are the worst. Like, for example, I mean, even Gen 1. Gen 1, Seal. Like, it's a seal called Seal. I mean, that alone is just ridiculously stupid. The worst Pokemon. No, Palisand. Palisand, yeah, you're right to bring that one up. Palisand is a fantastic Pokemon. Spheal, at the very least, they were like, he's a seal, he's round, spherical, seal. Yeah. It's interesting you bring up the Firegrass Water Starter thing, though, because I've heard a lot about that recently. I think they just need to get the dual typings better. The only time they've got the dual typings right, in my opinion, was Gen 4, which was Diamond and Pearl. because you had your fire, your grass, your water, but water's always had an unfair advantage because water types can learn ice moves that grass types are weak against. So if you picked Squirtle as your starter, when you go up against blue, you do actually have a chance at using your starter against theirs because you can teach it Blizzard, you can teach it Ice Beam, and those moves can take down a Venusaur as long as it's not a Mega. What Diamond and Pearl did, which was great, was we had Empoleon, which was a Water Steel type, which, funnily enough, actually made it weak, but balanced out the starters as a whole, because you then had Infernape, which was a Fire Fighting type, which is a starter type they did use later on again, but the Fighting type meant that it was strong against Empoleon being a Steel type. And then you also had Torterra, which was a Grass Ground type, making it strong against Infernape. So their main starting type worked in the normal direction, whereas their secondary type worked it the other way. So you could go against your rival using your starter Pokemon against their starter Pokemon. Doing it with completely different types would be quite good. Like, for example, not necessarily something like Electric, Rock, Grass, because obviously Electric would have a serious disadvantage against Rock. But maybe something where, you know, like Psychic, Dark, Fighting, for example. That's a pretty good trio. That one works well. I mean, there are plenty of trios out there that do work quite well. I don't honestly think they were going to move away from the Fire, Grass, Water one, purely because starters from each generation are always compared to one another. But anyway, I was going to say, the worst Pokemon they have ever created is the fire form of Oricoro from Sun and Moon. And I'm going to tell you why now. I have researched this just to be absolutely certain, because I remember chatting about this in Discord a while back. So Oricoro is it's a bird from the Sun and Moon region that has different forms and with it different types. Now the reason why the fire type is my least favorite is because it can't learn any fire moves. Now you may be thinking, oh, but of course it can. Lots of Pokemon can learn fire moves. No. I have checked through leveling up, it cannot learn fire moves. It cannot learn fire moves through selective breeding. It cannot learn them from the guy who does the move reminding thing. You know, oh, your Pokemon forgot this move, I'll reteach it. Nope. It cannot learn them through TMs. There are no fire technical machines that it can learn. It's a fire type that cannot learn any fire moves. And for goodness sake, I bet there's at least one grass type out there that you can teach Ember to. It's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Just make 2 starters. I don't know about that. I wonder, like, maybe it would be fun if there was a game where you had a choice between, like, more types. You know, rather than reducing it, because that's going to reduce the possibilities when it comes to actual, you know, competitive battles and stuff like that. But maybe have more than just the 3 and see what people go for. You'd have to be careful with it, you know, if you went for something like Dragon. Dragons are OP. I love Dragon types, but they are OP as hell. They did, but Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was essentially a trailer for Sword and Shield. It is the easiest Pokemon game there is. I literally, in my last stream, I did the 8 gym leaders and the Elite Four in a couple of hours, and I wasn't even speed running. I've seen a video of a guy who went against the Elite Four with a level 3 Metapod, didn't let it evolve and managed to beat the Elite Four and the rival. I mean, yeah, it's a fun game, but it's not necessarily a good one. You get what I mean? And I'm saying that as someone who enjoys playing it. Like, I still play it, even though I've completed it. But yeah, so anyway, the national decks. I've gone way off on a tangent here, haven't I? The whole national decks thing. I want to trust Game Freak and Nintendo and the Pokemon Company and whoever else makes it now. I want to trust them, but I'm not sure I can. I'm fairly certain that all of the Pokemon in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee will be transferable, with the exception of your starter Pikachu and Eevee. I don't think they're going to be transferable. Otherwise, there are going to be a lot of people who transferred Pokemon up from Pokemon Go that are going to be really cheesed off. I want to trust them that it's the right decision. I think it will make the gameplay better, but I think it will make the competitive element worse. Because there's already so many overused Pokemon that are in such heavy rotation. Like, if I'm doing Pokemon Showdown, for example, which I do stream sometimes, if I see a certain Pokemon in my opponent's team, I can tell you there and then that I've lost the match. Because if my team doesn't have a counter for that Pokemon, you know. But when you've got over 800 Pokemon, you cannot create a 6 Pokemon team that can counter everything. When you're only dealing with 350 Pokemon, the odds are way more in your favour. And I think that's going to ruin the competitive element of the game. Never got into the OP min-max of Pokemon. You should definitely, if you haven't before, definitely try out Pokemon Showdown. It's a free website, you can download it as well. It just lets you choose a team or do a random battle of many different varieties and go up against real players. It's fantastic for if you're trying to get strategies together and stuff like that. It's also good fun. It's just fun to actually do if you enjoy the battling element of Pokemon. Okay, so another thing I wanted to bring up here, because this was kind of, I am doing a rebalance starting with this generation. Now, if that is the case, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that, especially if they slowly start to reintroduce some of the previous ones based on the rebalance. They have obviously done rebalances in the past before. Dark types, for example, fairy types, the complete overhaul of the mechanics from Gen 1. I mean, Gen 1 was a broken game, okay? First of all, there was the fact that you could win virtually any match using a Pokemon that has a move like Wrap or Bind, because your opponent couldn't attack while they were being wrapped or bound, and you just had to wear them down. And then there was also the whole thing with Alakazam. Like, Alakazam was such a broken Pokemon. For anyone who doesn't know, the main reasons for this was because these days, the stats on Pokemon, you have their hit points, speed, attack, special attack, defense, and special defense. Now, defense obviously defends you against normal attacks, and special defense against special attacks. In Gen 1, there was no special defense stat. It was mixed in with the special attack stat. So a Pokemon like Alakazam had the most insane special attack. Like, it was just ridiculous. And then when you looked at its weaknesses, it's only the only types it was weak against in Gen 1 were ghost types and bug types. Now, at the time, there were no good bug Pokemon. The closest was something like Scyther or possibly Beedrill, but they were both pretty weak Pokemon and pretty easy to take down as well, especially with the various moves Pokemon like Alakazam could learn. And ghost types, there was only one ghost type move that actually did damage, and it was a fixed amount of damage. Same with dragon types. Dragon types only being weak against ice and dragon moves. Ice types doesn't matter. Dragonite can learn fire moves, but also dragon moves. There was only Dragon Rage, which did 40 hit points of damage, no matter what your level. So you can't be weak against that, and that was the only damage-dealing dragon move. So those types ended up being seriously OP, which is why, you know, they ended up balancing psychic types by bringing in dark types, by bringing in new ghosts, ghost moves, and same with bugs as well. But yeah, Gen 1 was a seriously broken game, and there was a lot of other stuff than that. So balancing is something that we have seen them do before, and I think it's definitely something that, if done right, could improve the games. Now, while the national dex, I can't make my mind up about the national dex until I see what the national dex is, and until I can see which Pokemon have been given the boot. What does bother me is that they're doing away with Mega Evolution. Now, Mega Evolution, I think, is one of the best things they've added to the franchise. It just, when you go into a match and the person you're up against has multiple Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, and you don't know which one it's going to be, it's just so much more exhilarating. It's so much more interesting. Now I know they've got this whole, what is it, Gigamax thing, which is sort of Mega Evolution, but also not. I don't know. Josh, thank you very much for the donation there. $1.26. Is that the current going rate? Did you put it in as a pound and it came through as $1.26? I don't know. The last donation was about that much as well. But thank you very much for that, buddy. Yes, I really need more information about the game. I really do. I think if the playstyle's like Let's Go, and like they've shown in the trailers, it's going to be a fantastic game. It's going to be fun to play. I can't wait to stream it. I'm probably going to end up doing some really long streams of that, because I don't think it's one I'm going to be able to put down easily. Sorry, actual life, but yeah, Pokemon. But yeah, anyway, so the National Dex stuff, I'm interested what you guys have to say about it. As with everything else, please do throw in your opinions here, and I'll respond as best I can. So, what was the next thing I was going to talk about? Ah, yes. So one thing I wanted to talk about was this is one of the reasons why I moved over from YouTube to Twitch when I first created the channel. So as I said earlier, this channel did start off as a YouTube channel. I was planning on doing podcasts onto there. I even did some live streams onto there and that sort of thing. The problem I have with YouTube at the moment, and while I'm saying this, I do still have a YouTube channel. I do upload stuff every now and then, and I am planning on getting back into it. I've got some ideas of stuff that I want to do. I may end up running some of them by you. But YouTube it's becoming a very difficult platform to run a business on. Now, while I do this for fun, I would love to make a career out of this. I would love it if I could get to the point where I was making enough money off of this to only work in the jobs that I enjoy doing, like acting, like some of my teaching jobs and stuff like that, which I do more for the enjoyment. There have been so many stories over the last while revolving around YouTube and unfair copyright claims and that sort of thing. And I've been watching a few videos on them recently, and it's a platform that I'm worried about getting on, because it's not even just a case of getting videos demonetized anymore. It's become far worse than that, if you ask me. So I'm gonna give you a recent example of this. There's a YouTuber I quite enjoy called JonTron. He got into some trouble a while ago about some comments that were taken out of context. if you actually follow up on the story and that kind of thing, you'll realize it was very much taken out of context. But love him or hate him, he's started uploading again. He's very irregular with his uploads. He does kind of like a series a year, uploads like 10 videos, and then that's all you hear from him for ages. But he did a video a while ago about like impulsive online purchases and how easy and how dangerous it can be and that sort of thing. And one of the things that he bought was he spent like about $1,000 on like a 6.5 foot garden gnome, and he made like a whole skit around it. It was funny, all that sort of stuff. And as part of the skit, he did a cover version of Michael Jackson's "You Are Not Alone," but he changed the lyrics to "You Are Not a Gnome," and changed further lyrics from that. To be safe, he actually had musicians come into a studio and completely record a brand new backing track using the music from the original, but completely recreating that themselves. Okay, so other than what it was based on, it was completely done by the JonTron Show. Nothing had been taken from anyone else. And obviously the lyrics had been changed, which put it under the category of parody. Now, under the rules of fair use, which YouTube operates by, parody counts as fair use, which means that you're safe from copyright claims. However, the video was claimed because of the song. The crazy thing about it was, it wasn't claimed by anyone to do with Michael Jackson. It was claimed by R. Kelly. That R. Kelly, you know, the same R. Kelly that is going to be having a very, very unpleasant time in prison for decades of crimes. Yeah, R. Kelly claimed this song. Now, whether it was R. Kelly personally or whether it was one of these automatic bots that they've got going around, because there's quite a few of them doing the rounds as well, we don't know. But I know from other YouTube creators that have had problems, it is almost impossible to appeal. There are YouTubers out there that have had their videos claimed because of music in them that they had a license to. But then the studios that these musicians work with have come along and claimed them. And in some cases, videos have been claimed by studios that don't even represent the musicians that created the music. One YouTuber called Sea-Dog, he had a song claimed, despite the fact that after it happened, he got an email from the musician that created it, vouching for him, saying that it was okay for him to use it, but when he appealed, YouTube turned him down. Okay? YouTube turned down JonTron when he appealed as well. Now, a YouTuber like JonTron is going to survive something like this because his content alone is something that is likely to get demonetized anyway because of what he does, the language he uses, all that sort of stuff. So he relies on sponsorship, and he does very well out of sponsorship. That's where the majority of his money comes. But for someone like me going in, like the music I'm playing at the moment, this is copyright-free music. That's why I'm playing it. But for all I know, this one, for example, I may get this video claimed by the studio behind Imagine Dragons, even though this is an 8-bit cover version of it, which would fall under either cover or parody in fair use. And this video may get demonetized because of that, which isn't a big problem for me at the moment because my channel isn't even monetized over on YouTube anyway. However, it's just ridiculous that not only are studios claiming videos that have no content that either doesn't fall under fair use or is technically theirs, and YouTube is denying their appeals. But the thing is let's say, for example, JonTron manages to get his video rights back again. Okay? These claims, they come in within the first few hours, and it takes at least a few weeks to get the appeal through. He may get further views after that period of time, but the majority of the views on YouTube videos come in within the first few days. all the money that has been made within those first few days has gone to R. Kelly. And that's not coming back. That is not coming back at all. So let's say I put tons of effort into a video and some idiot claims it because I use a photo, a fair use photo of something, and they claim it saying it's theirs, even though it's not, then that's my money for that video gone. And I'm seeing it so much at the moment. A lot of the YouTubers I really like are small-time YouTubers, like commentator YouTubers and that sort of thing, who rely on this and have been through 2 apocalypses, and they've given up their jobs. Some of them have dropped out of uni and stuff like that because they found a way to prosper doing these sorts of videos, and they put a lot of effort into them, and then some prick comes along and demonetizes them. So yeah, I wanted to make you guys aware of that, because while Twitch is not a flawless platform, at least with them, like the ads that you will see when you click onto my stream sometimes, I don't make anything from them. No Twitch streamer makes money from the ads that come up at the beginning of their streams. The money that I make is through the donations, like Josh did a moment ago. It's through the bits. It is through subscriptions. It is through things like Patreon. And that money, Twitch takes a cut, and then it comes straight to me. They don't demonetize videos. If there's a bit of music that's copyright claimed, that bit of the video, the audio gets cut out. That's it. That's it. Amazon Prime, yeah, obviously with the Amazon Prime subscriptions, yeah, I do get money through that as well. So I am going to be uploading some stuff to YouTube. I am going to be putting these podcasts on YouTube. And for anyone who is watching, who's come to this from YouTube, I know that's going to be a very dated topic to be talking about, but I think it's something that people still aren't aware enough of. I don't think there's enough outrage about it. I think there are far too many people out there trying to make a career out of content creation that are being stifled. Article 13 is going to really screw over a lot of these content creators. It's going to stifle them. It's going to really restrict what they can do on their channels. And I think a lot of channels as well, out of fear for their livelihoods, are going to be making lesser quality products. I've seen it already. A lot of the commentator channels that I like to watch, if they're commentating about another YouTuber who's done something bad, they will show clips to prove it, and those clips get claimed, even though they're under fair use. It literally says that it's fair use when used for commentary or parody, and it really frustrates me. It really does, because I've been making YouTube content on various channels for so long. My highest rated video, like, let me just check here, right? So my best rated video I've ever uploaded to YouTube. Now this isn't going to be huge numbers by any means compared to a lot of content creators out there. Yeah, my best one currently sits at 34,000 views on a channel that I used to work with. And even though that channel isn't monetized, if one day it eventually is, they're probably not going to see any money from it at all, because it's a series of memes that I created using clips from a popular film. So even though it's very much parody, like it is big time parody, they won't see any money from that at all, and it's junk. I'm going to shop the video. Which video? I don't know which one you mean. Oh, show the video. No, I'm not going to show the video. No, it's an old channel. We don't go back to the old ones. But maybe I'll show it to you later. Also, why would I want to get extra views for a channel I don't work for anymore? Don't be ridiculous, hell. Yeah, it is a real shame because YouTube was such a fantastic platform, and I do unfortunately use the term was because, like I said, I'm already starting to see a dip in quality, and the channels that are being more supported by YouTube, some of them are so toxic. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But they're the ones that are going to be thriving, that kind of thing, which really sucks. So yeah, I love YouTube. I really do, and I want it to be good. I want it to be what it should be. But it's making it very difficult. Goddamn PewDiePie. PewDiePie, from this perspective, PewDiePie is kind of one of the heroes of YouTube at the moment, because like up until recently he managed to stay like the most subscribed to YouTuber, despite the fact that he was not only not being supported by YouTube, but they were actively working against him. I mean, he hasn't been in at least the last 2 YouTube rewinds. I mean, seriously? Their most popular content creator, and he wasn't in the last 2 YouTube rewinds? Come on. Well, that's ridiculous. I'm not a fan of all of his stuff. I enjoy some of his videos, not all of them. I'm not like part of the 9-year-old army, but like it's better than T-Series. I tried watching some T-Series a while ago. I was just like, how is this so popular? Anyway, so the next one, I'm of 2 minds on this next subject. I really kind of just wanted to see what you guys wanted to say about it, which is the current controversy with Scarlett Johansson. Also, hey Craig. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Scarlett Johansson recently was criticized because she'd been cast to play a transgender character in an upcoming film, and people weren't happy that they hadn't cast an actual trans actor in the role. She spoke out by saying that she should have the right to play anyone or anything, like a tree or an animal or whatever, that she wants. Some people are backing her on this, some people are really pissed about it. Phoenix Ascendant, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the Geek League. I may get in trouble for talking about this one, to be honest. This is listed on my script as hot topic. Only talk about this one if the stream's going well and the audience is right for it. Okay, so there's certain obvious stuff you have to bring up. A few years ago, Dallas Buyers Club, Jared Leto won an Oscar for playing a transgender woman. So there is the argument, why is he allowed to get away with it, but Scarlett isn't? Okay? Then you get into, now there is a disclaimer that comes with this next thing I'm going to say, which I'm going to add at the end, so don't get too outraged with me yet, okay? The idea of acting to an actor is transforming oneself to be that character, or as like that character as possible. The idea of transforming relates very much to the idea of transitioning as well, okay? If you imagine that you wanted to transition into becoming a man or a woman, then that person you are wanting to be is comparable to a character. Okay, this is disclaimer territory here. I'm really sorry if I do cause offence to anyone while I'm talking about this. I really do not mean to cause offence with this. That's why there is a disclaimer coming. Do we then run into the difficulty of, you know, should all the actors in the cast of Cats be replaced by actual cats? Are we undermining cat actors? Now, here's the big disclaimer of this. I know there is a big difference between transgender people and animals, okay? And the same with any other kind of transformative role. They are all their own thing. They are all separate. What they have been through to get to where they are now are very different things, and there are definitely ways in which they should not be compared. But what I am getting at, and I'm saying this as an actor, if you can physically and emotionally and mentally fill a role, thank you very much for the follow, is there a reason why you cannot play that role? Because once you apply that to one thing, you set a precedent which can apply to multiple other things as well. And like Cray has just said, you get the best actor or actress for that role. Now, someone who's actually transgender may have, well, will have more life experience that they can put into that role. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're a better actor. Okay? This happened, I can't remember the guy's name. The main character from Get Out was criticized by Samuel L. Jackson because he is English, so doesn't understand the plight of the American black man. But he played the role fantastically. And yes, there were black American actors out there that could have also filled that role, but would that have been right? And I find the situation similar to this one. So that opinion there, that wasn't even really an opinion. That was more the actor's perspective, because I honestly don't know what my opinion is on this. I am not what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not involved enough. I'm not attached to this enough to place any real stakes on it. I kind of wanted to bring it up to see what your opinions are, and I'm about to read through the comments here because, and I would like to say, I'm a big supporter of the LGBTQ plus community. I would like to think of myself as not being even remotely homophobic, and I know this is a cliche to say, but I have friends within that community, the varying different parts of that community, and I really want to know what their opinions are on it, because for me, the main reason I bring this up is there's a possibility I may be in a situation like this at some point in my career, and while I always try to give my best performance in whatever I do, could I be in a situation where that's not good enough because of my personal life? For me, you know, some of my favorite actors are the ones that I don't know anything about their real lives. You know, I love watching Tom Cruise films, but I know that Tom Cruise is a crazy bellend, and that can sometimes ruin the films for me. Whereas someone like Daniel Day-Lewis, I know nothing about the guy. No one does. He showed up to a red carpet event once and no one recognized him because he's that much of a transformative actor and he keeps his personalized life personal. Now, would you then go and say, Daniel Day-Lewis, you're not allowed to play a transgender person because you're not transgender? Because he could turn around and say, well, actually, I am. You just had no idea. So, I guess what I'm saying really, should a role be affected by the person playing that role? Anyway, I have a quick scroll through the comments because you guys have been typing like crazy on this one, so I'm really interested to see what you have to say. I'm hoping it's not just a lot of people saying, KD, you're being a twat, stop talking about this stuff. Okay, so let's see, Grace Wing, obviously you have a great perspective on this. On the one hand, there are trans actors who could have been cast, but always the issue. Are they what was wanted? ScarJo gets money in, she's an own face, she's a good actress. So ScarJo, when it comes to that, is kind of a risky one to go with, because one of the reasons why she got called out on this was because of Ghost in the Shell, which was accused of whitewashing. And one of the arguments that some people said there was that an Asian actress wouldn't pull in the crowd as much as a white one would. And this is something Hollywood is trying to get away from at the moment, and I'm really, really glad that they are, because I think it's ridiculous. I think, again, to bring up Get Out, Black Panther, that sort of thing, to go and say that you need a white lead to pull in audiences is ridiculous. But someone like ScarJo is likely to pull in more than an unknown trans actor. Crane saying, interesting situation. If a trans person can play a normal character, then it should be the same as the other way around. I would be careful using the term normal when it comes to this kind of thing. I personally wouldn't refer to either as normal when it comes to this situation, because it can be a bit offensive. But I get what you mean. It's double standards, essentially, is what you're saying. Should probably flag now that you're a trans guy, both super interesting to me and super, oh great, here comes the drama again. Yeah, I didn't want to kind of out you as that. I like that people can keep their anonymity on here. But Great Swing, you are involved in theatre, and you are transgender yourself, so your opinion obviously is one I want to hear about this, and it's probably one we'll end up discussing outside of the stream as well. If you're the best actor and actress, then you should do the role. I would love to believe that, but the fact is, and I have to say this to my students, and it breaks my heart to do this, this is the only profession that I know of in the world in which you can legally not be hired for a job because of your race, your gender, your age, etc. It's the way it is, and it does make sense. Unfortunately, Get Out wouldn't really have worked with a white actor in the lead role. It wouldn't have. And don't give me that Othello, Laurence Olivier bollocks, because that, oh geez, I can't believe they got away with that. This can be easily taken out of context there. No, I agree. I'm trying to be very careful with my wording here because I don't want to offend anyone. And that's why I'm kind of trying to express this as much about perspective rather than opinion. There's also the character transitioning. Do they need someone femme presenting? Would it be awkward for a trans man to play a back to the start as female? That is a good point. Very, very. Daniel Kaluuya, Ninja Squid coming in with there. I don't understand the reference. Possibly I will. Invested. That's the word I was looking for. Damn it. Knew it began with an I. Don't want to relive crap, but you're also a very basic actor, so might be very good for the role. Saying James Bond can only British actors. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, there's a lot around that at the moment. Yeah, I should really talk about that whole 007 thing, because a lot of people have been idiots about that on Facebook lately. If ScarJo does her research for the character, no real issue with her playing it. I agree. I mean, like, I'm not a huge ScarJo fan. This is the thing. I'm not in any way trying to defend her or anything. I'm not necessarily saying she's the best for the role, because I don't personally think she's that good. In all honesty, that might be the most controversial thing I say during this topic, funnily enough. But I very much do believe you should get the best actor for the role. I know that because I have my own theatre company, there is certain stuff that we take into account that they're clearly taking into account here. If I have the choice between two actors of roughly the same level skill, one is based in the city that the show is happening in, and one has to commute, I will go with the one based in the city. Not just because of the fact that it'll be easier to get them for rehearsals because they won't have to commute, but also if they live, and especially if they have grown up in or around that city, chances are they will get more of an audience to come and see it. You know, I can pull like easily 30 to 50 people that I know to come and see a show that I'm in if it is in Oxford, where I live. If I go and do a show in London, I'll be lucky if I can get 10 or 12. So that's stuff that you take into account. And with Scarlett Johansson, she is going to pull in more people to see the film than a lot of other actors are. Tom Cruise accused of whitewashing the film also. Which film was this? Don't mind me reading out to the podcast that you're trans, by the way. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, I say thank you. It's a weird thing to say thank you to, isn't it? Yes, Grace Wing is trans. Elle and I actually, I commented on your photo the other day. No idea. Had no idea until a while back. Like, yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Love confusing people on movie sets supporting Lester's work when they twig you're trans, but no issues as yet. People have always been lovely. I mean, it is a good community for stuff like that, I suppose. So yeah, it seems like the general consensus is best actor for the role, and that is something that I do agree with. And at the same time, I don't think there should be a stigma when it comes to trans actors playing their presenting gender in a film. If you're a trans actor who presents as male, you shouldn't just be restricted to playing male roles. If you are, I hate to use this term, but if you are convincing in the gender that you are presenting as I mentioned, Grace Wing having no idea whatsoever, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to play a biologically born male role in a film. And, you know, vice versa as well with female presenting as well. I think there's certain stuff like that some people might get worked up about, like, you know, if you're playing a romantic lead or something, perhaps the lead actor or actress you with may have a problem with it, but in all honesty, that's a whole can of worms that they need to deal with themselves. I mean, I'm playing a role at the moment where, you know, I have to snog another man, and I am straight. I'm not even a little bit bisexual, but I'm acting, so, you know, it's acting. It's not like a real kiss. It's you know, it's like holding hands but with your lips, sort of thing. The only time you could get a role was because you hadn't had your chest reconstructed and the costume wouldn't cover a compression top. Yeah, I can see where that would be a problem. Interestingly, as soon as Mariah, so the actor who I have to kiss is a man playing a woman, not even a trans woman. He is playing a woman, which is an interesting one to bring up given the topic, because would a woman not have been better for the role? I don't know. He's a good actor though, and I love working with him. But that is interesting that when he puts on the full kit, you swap pronouns. That is very interesting. I don't know if I've ever been in a situation where in the full kit I've had to use pronouns with him. I don't know. You'd have swapped Mariah and Antonia. I don't know. I think what Ian is doing with Mariah is fantastic, and he has played women's roles in productions for this company before. If anyone is interested and you are near to the Oxford area, I'm going to be performing in a couple of weeks at the Oxford Castle in 12th Night. It's being run by Siege Theatre Company, and it's a lovely little production. The cast, they're adorable. They're adorable. I love them. They're great. Okay, so that is my talk about all the stuff that has been grinding my gears, and my goodness, has that worn me out. It's not even close to all the stuff that's been grinding my gears. I just figured I should pace myself because I'm trying to make a bit of a series out of this. Are we allowed to stream it? I made it a condition of signing up to do the play. It is not my show. I'm just acting in it. I signed on to do it as a favour to the director because I've worked with the director numerous times for the last 10 years. His directorial debut was like my second show after I finished drama school. It's about 10 years ago now. Yeah, he was having real trouble casting this role, and it's quite a crucial role for the play. So I said that I would do it, but one of the issues I had was the fact that because I stream in evenings, it was going to make that really difficult, so I made it a condition that I could stream rehearsals and at least one of the performances. How do we watch it? Well, you can either come and see it live, and then you can meet me, and if you look reasonably clean, I might even shake your hand and everything, and we'll go for a drink after, which would be great fun, assuming you are of a legal drinking age. This is not an offer to take minors drinking, not by any means. You can't leave Birmingham. Birmingham is so close to Oxford. It's like an hour on the train, man. But yeah, so there is currently, if you look on my VODs, there is a video of a dress run that we did last week. I think it was last week, which went well for the most part. There was still a few cock-ups and stuff, but that was one of the reasons I streamed it. I wanted people to see the process. There it is. Ella's on it already. Don't watch it now though, because you're watching me, and I'm live. Or don't watch it if you want to watch the stream of the actual show, because it's going to happen, even if it's a case of me handing Gracewing or Elle my camera and telling them to hide it if the director comes near. 2 monitors, you can watch both. It's one of Shakespeare's most popular comedies. It's a good fun show. The quality on the stream isn't fantastic, but what stream is fantastic, especially in IRL one. Oh yeah, you'll be doing all the costume, of course. Yeah, we'll sneak Elle in with it so that we can record it or stream it or something like that. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I had to miss yesterday's rehearsal, unfortunately, but we got a long one on Sunday. That's going to be it's going to be exhausting, but it's going to be lovely and it's going to be great. And I think the show is going to be really good. I had my worries, I really did. But yeah, like I said, one of my conditions was that I got to stream. So I'm gonna stream, or I'll just be like, all right, well, you better get someone to read in for me then, because we had a deal. No, I wouldn't do that. That would be the worst. Okay, so I can't think of anything else that's really been getting on my nerves lately. That YouTube rant really. Oh, this is good. Like this is cathartic. It's just sitting here chatting, not playing games while I'm doing it. This is super cathartic. I am looking forward to when I can get other people on the show with me. But for now, I'm just speaking and people are listening and no one's interrupting me and, you know, that sort of thing. Like, I kind of got onto it now, but plans for the future podcast. I really am. I'm trying to figure out ways of getting other people on as well. I've been playing around with Skype and some NDI software. It makes no sense to me whatsoever at the moment. But supposedly I will be able to get people on the stream via Skype, which will be great. There are certain people I definitely want to talk about with stuff. Cray, I really want to get you and Karma on at some point to talk about the current state of the Darwin project. I've also got people coming on to talk about various other stuff that I'm doing with the channel, and just some people that are going to come on when I'm doing the show like this, just to voice their opinions as well. A raid starts in 6 minutes, so you're gonna be leaving then. Fair enough. It's like gone 11 o'clock here, so our raids are well and truly done. too hot to walk around. Yeah, I mean it's pitch black outside, and I've got two fans on me at the moment, so I get that. Okay, so a few upcoming things that I thought I would talk about as well. The first one, this is just a little one that I saw earlier, a couple of trailers that I saw recently. So later this week, I think on Friday, there's going to be a trailer dropping for the film adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. And I am not the biggest Andrew Lloyd Webber fan. However, I felt that it deserved mentioning for two reasons. One, because they've got a really good cast involved in it, including Idris Elba, Jason Derulo, Rebel Wilson, Taylor Swift is in it. But also, they dropped a little featurette, which was really interesting because they've built this enormous set, and when I mean enormous, they've basically built what looks like a normal street, houses, that kind of thing, but it's all to scale, as if the actors are actually cats. So it's huge. Like, there was one scene where someone was walking past the table and chairs, and it was like something out of The Borrowers, if you remember that. If you get that reference, it's an oldie, but it's a goodie. Also, they're using a new, never-before-used film technology, which will attach fur to the actors in post-production. So they're not going to be wearing like furry suits and stuff like that. It's going to be all added post-production, which could be incredible or awful and distracting. And I'm hoping that it's going to be in the trailer on Friday, so I'll be giving my opinion on this next week. But I figured it's somewhat theatre related, so I kind of had to mention it, and it's got Idris Elba in it. But yes, they are making a Cats movie. I've no idea if I'm going to go see it. I haven't seen the musical, and I'm not a big fan of musical films. There are very few films based on musicals that I really enjoy. The obvious one, of course, being the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Amazing. You watched around the sword fight part. Oh, you mean my acting's good? I thought what I was talking about was good. I thought you were saying that my podcast skills were good, but that's fine. Yeah, no, the sword fight's actually there's only one sword fight in that, but there's going to be two in the final one, and I choreographed them as well. So I hope that they're good. I really hope that they're good. I've got some ideas for the other sword fight that we're going to start working on Sunday. So fingers crossed. Yeah, Ninja Squid's a legend. We like Ninja Squid here. So the next thing I was going to talk about, this was a request from Josh in the Discord. He wanted to know what my opinions were on the Switch Lite, which was announced last week. So for anyone who hasn't seen, the Switch Lite is the latest Nintendo handheld console, and I have to specify handheld because their current main console is also technically a handheld console and a home console, hence the Switch. And for any of you who don't know what a Switch is, I'm not sure why you're on my channel, because surely anyone who's interested enough to watch me chat for a couple of hours would know what a Switch is. Now, I got a Switch just over a month ago, and I mentioned earlier I mainly got it for the new Pokemon games coming out, but also, you know, there are Nintendo franchises. I mean, my first console was a Nintendo. I think like my first 3 consoles were Nintendos, actually. The Switch Lite is a slightly smaller console that is only for handheld use. The controllers do not detach from the screen, and it cannot be docked. It is literally just there for handheld usage. That's about all we know about it. Now, I personally think that that's bollocks. That's my opinion. That is my current opinion. That is bollocks. I really like the Nintendo Switch. I like the fact that I can play it on my TV at home. I like the fact that I can use it as a handheld device. I like the fact that I can take the controllers off and prop the screen up on a table and play it that way. I think that the fact that you can do that also means that it brings an element from like the Wii controller and stuff like that. And I think it is the console that Nintendo have been working towards for such a long time. It's got the elements of the Wii and the Wii U that they couldn't get to work properly for those consoles that work now, and now they're killing it. Now they are killing it with what they're doing with the Switch Lite. Sorry, I'm just reading what you guys are saying. What's that noise? Oh, the fans, huh? Or the water bottle again. I don't know what the fan was. Oh, maybe it's because I'm playing around my cup. No, that's not making a lot of noise. It's weird what the mic is picking up, but yeah. Right, so here's how they can save it. First of all, price. The Nintendo Switch is too expensive. It is far too expensive. I got L1 for her birthday, and I got myself one for the stream, and I got second hand on both of them, and they were still more than I would like to have spent, especially seeing as though you can get an Xbox One during various times of the year when there are deals on for like 100 quid. I got my Xbox One a few years back for £200, right? And that came with an Elite controller, 2 games, a year of Xbox Live Gold, and a year of Now TV. Okay? The Elite controllers still go for £120. So right there, the Xbox is now worth 80 quid. The games at the time were retailing for £30 each, so the Xbox is now down to £20. The Gold membership and the Now TV membership totaled about 40 quid at the time. So right there, they've just paid me 20 quid to take their console from them. And obviously that's a fantastic deal, especially if you actually want all that stuff and you get use out of all that stuff. And you know, while I could have lived without an Elite controller, now I struggle to go back to the original controllers. But the Switch, it's not really offering that stuff. So if they bring the price down, I think it will actually work out beneficially for them, because I think there are people like me who want it for a particular franchise, probably something like Mario, Zelda, or Pokemon, who couldn't afford it before, and may be willing to deal with it only being handheld if they can afford it. Battery life. Okay? The battery life on the Switch is variable. It is 3 hours, roughly 3 hours, depending on what you are playing. But it's variable because you can still play when you're playing it on TV and it's plugged in and it's charging when you're doing that, so you don't have to worry about it. If this is a handheld only console, 3 hours is not good enough. It's just not. With that, it's not as important for this, but it's just the design flaw of the Switch that I have to bring up. The fact that the charge port is on the bottom of the console, so you can't have the screen propped up on a table charging while you're playing unless you buy a secondary accessory which holds the tablet up off the table. So that's kind of rubbish. Craig, gotta go. Thank you very much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, they keep their price, and the games as well. I've been looking at some games that I really want to get. Most of them are still around the £40 mark, the proper Nintendo franchise ones, even though some of them are 2 or more years old. And it's ridiculous. So, I think what they really need to do, not necessarily bring down the prices of the games, is they need to bring out more games. Nintendo's always been so bad about this, but they're trying. There are games like things like Skyrim and The Witcher and stuff like that that are coming to the Switch. Now, obviously, they're dated. They're so dated. Diablo 3 is out on it. Ark, yeah, absolutely. Let's get Ark on there. Oh god, could a Switch run Ark? I doubt it. They're having serious online problems at the moment. But the reason why the prices of the games aren't going down even 2 years after release, I'm looking at you, Mario Odyssey, is because of the fact that sellers know, even if they're selling pre-owned games, that if someone has a Switch, they're going to want to buy games for it. And there are so few games for it, few decent games for it, that even if they don't drop the price, people are still going to buy them just so that they have something to play. So Nintendo needs to start releasing more games. They need to start getting in with the non just Nintendo games. You know, they need to get those games that are being released on PC, Xbox, PS4, because it's cheaper for them than making their own all the time, and it also means that there are more games in the Nintendo market, so those older games, the prices are reduced. Because if someone walks into a store and thinks, do I want to spend 300 quid on a console, they might think, yeah, that is worth it for a really good console. But then when they think it's 350 if I add just a single game to it, how long is that game going to last? Yeah. So I know Squid, you worked at CEX. The reason they kept the price was because you would sell more stock than what you would buy in. Interesting. It's taking forever for Gracewing there. Gracewing is the costume designer for 12th Night, the show I mentioned earlier. So it's currently sewing away at costumes as we speak. The boys are thirsty tonight. It is quite warm in here. I have to say. Sort it for the next podcast and stream. Sort the boys out, make sure that they're not thirsty. I don't know exactly how you're going to do that, sweetie. Speaking of being thirsty, I'm thirsty. I need to top my drink up. So yeah, the Switch Lite, I think it reminds me very much of the Nintendo 2DS. Oh, the noise. They do like ice cubes, yeah. Yeah, we do sometimes leave them a pot of ice cubes in there. Yeah, the Switch Lite is reminding me a lot of the 2DS that I personally never would have got myself, despite the fact that I very rarely actually use the 3D option on my 3DS. The thing is with the Switch is I obviously have a need for the docking system because it's the only way I can stream from it, but I don't necessarily know how much use I would get out of it otherwise. But then, you know, one thing with the Switch, and I saw this in like video reviews of it before I got mine, and I do wholeheartedly agree, is it is not a primary console. And what I mean by that is, it is a wonderful addition if you already own an Xbox or a PS4. I think owning an Xbox and a PS4 is a waste. But the Switch nicely complements them. It fills in gaps that they can't do. You know, things like being able to play when you're on the commute to work or something like that. So it is great from that perspective, and the Switch Lite has the potential to fill that void as well. So I think the Switch Lite might be a good option for anyone who already owns a console, like an Xbox or a PS4, but wants more than you get from like mobile games. Let's say it is an expensive way of playing mobile games. I've just kind of turned what was meant to be a redeeming factor into an insult of it. Whoops. Yeah. For me personally, I would not buy the Switch Lite unless it's incredibly cheap, and I'm talking like the £100 mark, which we all know it's not going to be, especially on release. I think that if I was in the position where I wanted a Switch, I wanted to play some of those Nintendo games, and it was an option between the Switch Lite or paying more for a Switch, I would pay more for the Switch, just for the options, even if they're options that I would never actually use. So let's see, Grace Wing, your hamster would lick them, ice cubes you mean, put a freezer pack next to the outside of a cage. That's not a bad idea actually, putting freezer packs near the outside of the cage. We haven't put any in the cage obviously because we don't want them to go chewing through them. But we have been putting ice cubes in the cage for them to lick, to play with, and that sort of stuff. Elle has just sent me a message about heavy-duty, double-sided adhesive tape roll. That's a bloody Pinterest. Elle works for a company that makes various adhesives and foams and stuff like that. So this is definitely her bag. It is certainly interesting, and would be fun. I don't like the fact that the page keeps reloading and doing stuff, but oh wow, it's a video showing how it works. That is pretty impressive. I may show this in the next stream, you know, if they sponsor me. Sponsor me and I'll show your stuff. You got a side there. Oh, from the raid. Nice. We need to sort out our trading at some point because we're best buddies on Pogo now, aren't we? Oh, it's not one of yours. Oh, that sucks. If anyone is interested in sponsoring me, I am very open to the idea of selling out. Yes, I will get you a list, and I'm trying to get together stuff that I can trade with you. Tane, or Kitty as we call her, lives in the US, so we plan on doing some Pokemon trades on Pokemon Go. Thought it'd be good for the studio. Possibly will, but to be honest, for the studio, I will probably end up just properly fixing stuff to the walls, because it'll probably do as much damage to take them down when we're done. Okay, so what was I going to talk about next? Oh yes, so yeah, I'm basically done on the Switch Lite. I don't think it's a good idea. I can see why they're doing it, but unless it's really cheap, I just don't see people biting, and unless they get more games on the market, which I think they're trying to do, but yeah, that sounded weird. Okay, I don't know what sounded weird, but I said it, so it probably did. Okay, so yes, I was going to talk about, I teased this earlier, but Phase 4 of the MCU. I know we've talked a lot of Marvel at the moment, but it's one of my fields of expertise, and I did have a few people asking me about this one. So, pretty soon Kevin Feige is going to be announcing what the plans are for Phase 4, but the current speculation of it, all we know at the moment for certain are release dates. So we have two coming out in 2020, the first one on May 1st and the next one on November 6th. Then we've got three in 2021, February, May and November. And then we got three in 2022, so we got February 18th, May 6th and July 29th. Now, purely based on how they normally do this, I would guess that the penultimate one, the May 6th, 2022, is going to be the next Avengers film, or the next big one that they do. I'm saying this rather than July 29th because they never actually finish a phase with an Avengers film. Phase 1 was was finished by Ant-Man. Phase 2 was Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Phase 3 was Spider-Man Far From Home. So they normally like to finish off the phases with a non-big Avengers film. So that's why I'm guessing May 6th, 2022 is going to be the most likely spot for the next Avengers film. It does feel so far away. Alright, so what do we know so far? So there's been a lot of talk about a Black Widow film, which is most likely going to be a prequel. And I don't know what else to say about that, really. I don't know how I feel about it. It's going to have Scarlett Johansson, which is going to be interesting, as it's a prequel. And, I mean, she's aged very well, and I'm sure they'll make it convincing. There's some newcomers to the MCU involved with it. David Harbour, who plays the sheriff or the chief of police in Stranger Things, and also Hellboy. He's been linked to the project, and also the Departed actor and British icon Ray Winston, who is a fantastic British actor. Has done some very bad films in the past, though, so I'm not too sure about that. They've got a female director in Kate Shortland involved in it, and they're actually going to be filming most of it in the UK, so I might see if I can get an extras role in it. That'd be pretty fun. So a new introduction to the MCU is going to be the Eternals. This is going to be a very interesting one. Currently, the only one I know about it who's definitely in it, let's see. So it's got Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, who most of you will know as Robb Stark, and Millie Bobby Brown, from who plays Eleven in Stranger Things. They've been attached to the project, although apparently Millie Bobby Brown has publicly removed herself for now, which is interesting. And Keanu Reeves has also been rumoured, although Keanu Reeves has been approached for a number of MCU projects that he has turned down. So I have seen that Ninja Squid. I will come back and answer that in a second. So the Eternals, what are the Eternals? They're a much lesser known Marvel entity, but they could, if they go by the comics, they could have like a big overlapping kind of thing with what's been going on before. Essentially, the Eternals, they are humans that were experimented on during our early evolution and now have immortality and superpowers. That's the gist of it. They also have like an alternate kind of bad side to them. They're like protectors of Earth. That's the whole thing. They protect Earth. So I don't know how they're writing them into the MCU, because where have you been? Where have you been? You know. The thing that I'm most interested about is that I can't remember the name of the anti-Eternals, but there was an occasion in which one of these anti-ones hooked up with one of the Eternals, and they had a baby, and that baby's name was Thanos. So whether they're going to go by this and we're actually going to see Thanos' mummy and daddy, you know, I don't know. Whether this film is going to link into a bigger franchise, or what we're going to see is we're going to see a superpowered kingdom crumble to its knees, because we all know about what happened to Thanos' homeworld of Titan. No, Thanos never dated Death. Thanos always wanted to date Lady Death, who in the Marvel comics is the personification of Death. but it's one of the reasons why his least favorite Marvel hero is actually Deadpool, because Deadpool and Death did actually hook up. So Eternals looks like it's got the potential to be, I think it's going to be much more of like a sort of serious Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing. It's going to be an ensemble piece. I think that it will have clear-cut protagonists within it, but it is looking much more like an ensemble. And it's going to be an interesting one because we're looking at a group of people who are all superpowered. I think what they're doing with the Eternals is what they originally planned to do with Inhumans before it was made into an ill-fated TV series. The Eternals do fit that role very well. One interesting thing that they could do with this as well is, I can't remember the exact details, but essentially the Eternals did some experimenting of their own with mankind, trying to kind of link their lost DNA with modern-day human ones, and we ended up with mutants. So this could be a good way of introducing the X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Although I have various theories about that as well. So the next one we're looking at, this is a very interesting one. This is Shang-Chi, he is a kung fu master, okay? And I think what they're trying to do with this one is they're trying to break the Asian market in the same way that they did with Black Panther on the black community, which obviously was a massive success, both in terms of getting that community more involved in the MCU and following it, and also in terms of box office and critical acclaim. So I think they're hoping to do that as well. The interesting thing with this one is this is a character that isn't, I don't want to say popular, but for lack of a better term, popular within the comics. When I say that, he is on a par with where Guardians of the Galaxy was before the film came out. This is a character that I have heard of before, but I've only ever seen him in other characters' comics. Like, for example, there was a period in which he was teaching Peter Parker martial arts to, make him a better Spider-Man and that sort of thing. Not much is known about it at the moment. It was only recently announced that they were going to be doing it, but I think they're just trying to get a few more origin movies in. Obviously, with Endgame, there are certain franchises that are shut down, and they need to get this going again. So we got Doctor Strange 2. I don't really know what else to say about this. I'm assuming the villain's going to be Baron Mordo, based on how Doctor Strange, the first one, ended. But, again, this is going to fall into, what we had a lot of, I didn't mention this earlier, but with Spider-Man Far From Home, is all these films now, they have to bring up the fact that these are all post-snap, okay? Doctor Strange has been missing for 5 years. What has happened in that time? Has that been enough time for some of his enemies to build up a force to use against him? So, I enjoyed the first Doctor Strange. I did not enjoy Benedict Cumberbatch's accent. I think he's a fantastic actor, but the accent was a bit much. Yeah, maybe we should get them some ice before we go to bed. Ooh, my voice went a bit funny then. So, yeah, I'm thinking Mordo for that one. Yeah, don't forget you. Oh yes, the question. Films that you might have seen. Probably not. I've mostly done theatre work. I have done some extras work, but I don't think you'd really see me in that. I was going to be in a film a while back, and honestly, if I wanted to get really bitchy, I could fill a whole podcast with why I didn't want to be involved with that company, why I don't want anything to do with them again. I could genuinely do like a really, really mean podcast against them, but I'm not that toxic of a person. But yeah, most of what I do is theatre work, though I may try and branch back out into doing more film stuff over the next while. So anyway, yeah, Black Panther 2. It's what else can I say? It's another trip to Wakanda. They haven't released much about it, but we just know that there's going to be another Black Panther film. We knew this ages ago. It was one of the ridiculous things with Infinity War. We knew that it wasn't permanent because we'd already had announced that there was going to be a Spider-Man 2, a Black Panther 2, a Doctor Strange 2, a Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and they were half the guys that got clicked or snapped. So yeah, the next one I was going to say actually, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Without giving too many spoilers away, if you haven't seen Endgame, if you haven't, what are you doing with your life, man? It's the cinematic event of the year. We've got James Gunn back for it, which I think is a fantastic move. It is his franchise, which also means that we'll have Batista back. What's going on with Gamora, we're not entirely sure. Is Thor going to be a main character in it? And if he is, how is that going to affect the film? Because he and Star-Lord are in such a similar position, but because he's got the power as well, is he just going to completely undermine Chris Pratt's Star-Lord? And is that going to wreck the chemistry of the film? As much as I love the idea of Thor being in Guardians of the Galaxy, I kind of don't want him to, because I love Star-Lord. I love Star-Lord, but I'm worried that it's just going to be like they were in Infinity War and Endgame, where it's just those two clashing again and again, and that's where they try to drive most of the comedy from, and that it's going to make it suck. Also, the fact that we have another Thor film coming out, it seems kind of weird, seeing as though Chris Hemsworth has said publicly that he wants to quit Hollywood. Yeah, he's doing 2 more Marvel films at least, and let's face it, there's going to be another Avengers, and they've already lost some major Avengers. They're not going to want to lose Thor as well. Phoenix, how you doing? How have you not seen it yet? Oh, Far From Home. Yeah, I've seen Far From Home. Yes, I did really enjoy it. And it is, I'm not saying it's my favourite Spider-Man film yet. Like I said, I need to see it a second time to be absolutely certain. So, yeah, we're probably looking at a Spider-Man 3, although whether that's going to be in Phase 4, I don't know, seeing as though the latest Spider-Man film finished off Phase 3. And what about X-Men and Fantastic Four? No. X-Men and Fantastic Four, they're not going to be in Phase 4. Feige has said it pretty bluntly, and it may be a bluff. It may be a bluff on his part, but by this point, we would have heard something. There would have been some idiot actor tweeting, "Oh look, I've just been cast as Jean Grey in the next X-Men film at the MCU." Yeah, I think we're going to see them in Phase 5. I think they're likely probably going to kick off Phase 5. So you're looking at least 2023 for that. Ninja Squid, fantastic having you along. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you next time. Please do remember, guys, if you haven't followed the channel already, do hit that follow button. And if you have, one thing you can do that will really help me out is doing simple things like just hosting the channel. It costs absolutely nothing. You literally just have to go onto your channel, type /host space Geeks on the Go, all one word, and you can even add me to your auto host list as well, which is just as lovely, even more so because then you're always hosting. Okay, so yeah, that's what's happening with MCU Phase 4. Films I'm really looking forward to in it, obviously Guardians and Thor 4. I've already mentioned today, I've said how much I love the Guardians series. Doctor Strange 2, I think could be a pretty good one. I did enjoy Black Panther, but I did not think it lived up to the hype, and I'm worried that this one's going to get on an even bigger hype train, which could be disastrous. I'm interested by Eternals and Shang-Chi, but they're not comics I ever read, so not particularly ones I'm looking forward to. I would like to see another Ant-Man film, because I love the first two. They're not in any way like on my like top 10 Marvel list or anything like that, but they're good, fun films. I really, really love that. I'm also curious about what they're going to do with the Captain America franchise now, based on what happened with the end of Endgame. Whether we're going to see replacements for certain characters that we lost. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, that's all the information I have currently about Phase 4 of the MCU. Spider-Man Far From Home, it didn't really drop any. There weren't any like trailers. You know, sometimes you get with a Marvel film, you'll get the first release of a new trailer for another Marvel film. We didn't have anything like that up in the trailers, and I was there early enough. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm very close to finishing off this podcast now, and I gotta say I have really enjoyed it. I have literally one topic left on my script. I have sped through them. I have been like a blinding ray of light just going across the sky at light speed, and had I spoken a bit more slowly, I probably could have stretched this out to 2 podcasts. But that's fine, because I'm sure I'm going to have more stuff to talk about by next week, and I threw this script together fairly quickly. What do you guys think? Have you enjoyed the podcast? Would you like this to be a weekly occurrence, a bi-weekly, a monthly? Maybe once a decade. Maybe once a good Terminator movie. Because it's been a while. It's been a while since that. I'm looking forward to getting other people on the show as well. That's going to be great. And once we've got the proper studio built up and stuff, I can actually have people in the studio here with me, talking to me in person with no delays or no internet problems and things like that. Yummy, yummy, rummy. I have done that this week. It has been an knackering one. Personally, I have really enjoyed it, and I would like to do it as a regular thing. So, yeah, maybe that will be my new Thursday thing. Who knows? Maybe Thursday isn't the right day for it. I don't know, it might change. If you'd like to learn more about behind the scenes of theatre and shows, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, let's get Gracewing on to talk about costume design. That'd be good. What would be good actually, we should get you on to talk about some LARPing stuff, because I actually like making costumes myself. Like I've made a lot of my own costumes and learned how to use a sewing machine and all sorts of stuff. So maybe we could do a stream at your workshop one day or something. That'd be an interesting one to do. Could talk about sword fighting too. Yeah, absolutely. I want to see some of those LARP weapons you've got. So one way in which I've decided I want to finish off all of these podcasts is I want to end it on a positive. So what I'm doing is, this is a segment that I'm going to try and do at the end of every podcast, and this is called My Hero of the Week. Okay? And this might be given out to someone that I know. This might be given out to someone that has been in the news, or just someone that's done something that I feel has made a difference, that has put themselves out there, and that I believe deserves the title of hero. And as someone who reads a lot of comic books, I think I'm an expert on that subject. So the hero of the week that I want to speak about now is a 20-year-old guy from the States called Derek Bird. Why am I talking about this guy? So Derek Bird is from Aberdeen in Washington State, and recently his house burned down, and in the house with him was his sister and his niece. Now, fortunately, everyone managed to escape the house, and no one died or anything like that. But Derek suffered serious burns after he ran back into the house to rescue his niece, who was trapped inside. Whilst in there, he removed his shirt to place around her face so that she wouldn't inhale any of the smoke, and he suffered some serious burns. And I've chosen for this one, I've not got any images of this because obviously they can be quite upsetting seeing that kind of thing. The pictures I've seen of him, he's in full body bandages and that kind of thing. But after he had safely got his sister and niece out of the house, he ran to his neighbours' houses to warn them about the fire in case their houses caught fire as well. And then he ran something like 10 blocks. Sorry, he ran 10 blocks to his mother's house so that he could get a ride to the hospital. Just an incredible person. He was literally suffering serious burns, and before going to seek medical attention, he went to make sure that all of his neighbours were safe, that everyone was out of his house, and then ran 10 blocks so that he could get a ride to the hospital rather than calling an ambulance out. I saw this story. I was searching for this topic, I guess, and this was the first one that popped out to me. There might have been more deserving heroes out there or something, but I feel as though this guy deserved a shout out. Someone who would run into a burning building for someone else, whether they're family or not, and who suffered those kind of injuries to protect someone that he cared for. That, in my book, that is a hero. Someone who faces near or certain death on the off chance that they can save someone that they care about. Derek Bird, you are my hero of the week, and I salute you. So yeah, go and look him up. If there's some way to show some support, please do. I know medical treatment out there is very expensive. There's probably a GoFundMe going for him or something like that. If there is, I'll have a look. I'll post it in the Discord and stuff. But I just thought that guy deserved a mention. We all think that in that situation we would do the same, but in actual fact, most of us would freeze. Most of us would not know what to do. So yeah, absolute hero. Well done to you, Mr. Bird. So I'm going to end the podcast pretty much here. I've had a fantastic time doing it. It's episode 1. It's the first time I've ever done a podcast on my own. Managed to get through plenty of topics. My throat is gone now. But if you do have any ideas for the podcast that you would like to see, please do join us on Discord. The link will be posted momentarily. Or get in contact via other social medias. We're on everything. You know, we got the Facebooks, the Skypes, we've got the Instagrams, the YouTube channel, all of it. You can get in contact with us in a multitude of ways. If there's anything you want us to talk about, maybe it's something personal to you, maybe it's a topic that you think is controversial and you'd like to hear my opinion on it. It would be quite cool to have at least one controversial topic per week, but we could end up getting very, very unpopular doing that sort of thing. But yeah, I want to know what you guys want to talk about and what you guys want to listen to. And if you want to get involved in the podcast by actually coming on, get in touch as well. I am coming up with some kind of specific rules about it that range from everything from what equipment you have. Like we can't have someone on the podcast who doesn't have a working microphone. That's just a given. Also rules about what you can and can't say and that sort of thing. Twitch does have its rules. While I want to be as open as possible with the podcast, and I don't want to lean too much in any direction on certain topics, Twitch does have very strict rules when it comes to that. So yeah, let's make this a thing. Let's make this a regular thing. Also, let me know, would you like this to be a once a week thing? Would you rather listen to it live, or would you rather download it from somewhere and listen to it later on? I'm going to be uploading it to a bunch of places over the next few days, so you'll definitely get a chance if you've missed bits that you want to catch up on. But until then, suggestions, throw them in. I'm just gonna say my good nights now. So I've been KD from Geeks on the Go for Geek Speak. You guys have been my wonderful audience, whether you are listening and watching live or back later on and are confused by all the random points I've been chatting to the chat. Whatever, you guys are amazing. I love you. Thank you so much for all the follows, all the bits, all the donations and stuff that we've had tonight. It really does make a hell of a lot of difference. Keep it nerdy, guys. Bye-bye.